Good morning, Namaskar. Good morning, everybody. Namaskar. This is Engineer Suraj Singh speaking from Bharat, India on this day, September 16, 2021, Thursday. Quality and safety issues, as usual, and talk title is Civil Field Engineering, Life, Quality and AnnexSL, COVID-19, Safety, Health, Environment. What engineers have to do in designs, in construction, in methods, in contracts, in organizations, in communication and coordination for works, and why should we always be behind quality of work, quality of whatever we do. This talk is nothing new, it's another addition to all talks, and of course I consider quality and safety as number one requirements because qualification of profession, competency in profession, and you can say be a part in real profession demands, all these demand quality. Quality, if not delivered, I can simply say engineers fail, because engineers are in quality profession everywhere. Once you qualify, once you are in job, it's duty of engineer to deliver what others may not understand. Everyone understands quality, I know that one. Everybody understands quality, but they understand only quality from one aspect, not from every aspect. I understand quality if whole system works properly and products are delivered according to requirements, whatever requirements have been prescribed, have been specified. If we can deliver that, I think that is justification with profession and justification with service. These certificates that we have, everybody or somebody, or you can say some certificates somebody has. Everybody cannot have all certificates, but some certificates everybody has, and that is particularly, you can say, educational certificate. Quality approach has got many definitions. I'm not going to elaborate all definitions, but what I think, according to my experience, I mean to say my experience of 3 to 4 decades in service of profession of engineering, whatever I could learn, whatever I could assess, whatever I could, you can say, collect what we should do. It's not simply one day paper here, you can see so many dates are written on that. This is just, you can say, collection of ideas. Since quality varies from time to time, and quality varies from work to work, quality varies from contract to contract, but there must be a general level which cannot vary, and that level is very important, and therefore I consider here quality, safety, health and environment and engineering approach to be defined and redefined. Nothing is permanent in this world. Change is a must, we can say. Change itself is a change for change. Usually we say there must be change. Yes, there must be change. Change for better. There should be change for better. And engineer is a community person who has got every responsibility for change, because engineer means agent of change. It is engineer. Engineer means, I'm not saying only civil engineer. Engineer is common. All branches of engineers are responsible for change of standards of living, for change, for everything. And they have to work within a sphere of quality, safety, health and environment and engineering approach. Engineering is not one point game. Engineering is a world itself. This world in which we are living, this was also might also have been created by God as an engineer. The solar system in which we are living, the solar system is like one project. You can say it was God's project, it is God's product. It's a project, might have been. Of course, we have no control on this, we do not understand this very well. But this is a fact that this is a kind of engineering delivery. I can say God delivered solar system, God delivered universe, or whatever it is today. God delivered that sometime, which time we do not know. But if you say this is a system, we call it solar system, we call it universe system, yes, it is. There is a complete balance of working of systems. All planets are of different sizes, different dimensions, different densities, different orbital speed, different perpetual speed, and this has been ongoing for unknown times. We cannot say which year did it start and which it end. But you imagine, can we do it? Well, I can say this is beyond our thinking. Human has no level, no capability as such, even to design this. But God did this. God did it. Just think of, can we arrange this much material on earth? That's impossible. It's completely impossible. If you compare solar system, if you compare universe to our claimed engineering, we claim we boost a lot. Our claimed sciences field, we boost a lot. Well, I think we are nowhere in a scale of understanding even. What can we do? We boast just by living on earth, living on lithosphere. Oh my God, I have done this. That scientist has done this. That engineer has done this. That is just, imagination. We have done nothing in fact. Science means we have to understand nature. We cannot make nature by science. We cannot make nature by engineering. By science we can understand how nature works, how does it work. Only that much we can understand by study of sciences. And if we get something out of science, human likes it, prefers it to apply that one. And for applying that one, we require some basics, and those are resources. We require some material, we require some human resources, or we require some application instruments or machines or whatever. So we can say we understand nature, then we find something, how to solve this problem when we understand problem. And that way, because we develop sciences, we develop engineering, and that's called, you can apply like this. This means we cannot apply without resources which are given by nature. And that is true. Whatever products we use today, whatever materials we use today, whatever resources we use today, all these are directly linked to nature or indirectly linked to nature. I say indirectly when there is, processing connection, there is manufacturing connection, there is construction connection. We construct, we manufacture, we industrialize every product, every raw material. That raw material which comes from earth, and we process it using some technology and reach somewhere in different stages of material. And that's what we can say process, that's what we can say method, and that is engineering, that is sciences, and that is development process. We name it engineering, we name it science, we name it whatever. And same applies to medical sciences, that they keep on trial and error and researches and all that, which they have been still doing. Even if you take example of COVID-19, they've been experimenting about vaccines or something else, this protocol and that protocol, all these keep on going something is maintained and something is superseded. This means in every science we have to depend on experiments. And some stage you can say you get some answer, at some stage you don't get answer. When we don't get answer, we get partly answer, we try to improve that stage by further research, application of by further, you can say knowledge application. And all this way you can see we pass through a system where quality is gradually developed. Safety is kept in view because life is very important. If we want to preserve this life, we want to preserve people from bad health, we have to take care of safety, health and environment. Safety, health and environment are not particular patent. Everybody has right on this. Just like everybody has right on good quality, everybody has got right on good safety, good health and good environment. And of course, engineering is there, ergonomics gives us something, it's also a kind of knowledge that what way we should work, how much energy we should use for some act, for some activity or work. And this is very important part, every day I talk of quality, it doesn't mean that I am mad for quality or I want to do something others are not doing. All are doing. All works are being done according to some requirements. Requirements may be defined, requirements may not be defined. We understand that quality is required everywhere and nature has taught us. Nature does not speak directly in our language. Nature speaks in its own language because nature knows there is no meaning of talking to these people. There is no meaning to pass some fax message to these people. These people cannot know me and I don't want to tell them who I am. But because it is my earth, they are my people, I have to take their care, just like you take care of a baby. A newborn baby cannot speak to you except crying. So nature cries and tells us, okay, this is flood, this is thunderstorm, this is volcano, this is tsunami, this is COVID-19, this is this and this is that. It's a kind of indication of crying, you can say baby cries. And whole spectrum of people, whole earth is a baby for God, always remains baby. And God takes care without speaking to us. See, I'm taking your care. God doesn't want that credit that God is taking your care, and God takes its care. It tries to tell people, improve yourself. I'm here to help you. But if you don't improve, I cannot force you except you keep on crying and you cry and cry. But remember, cry doesn't help. Crying doesn't help. We have to find solution of problems. And we can find solution of problems when we do understand what problem is. We find one problem, we find second problem, third problem, fourth problem likewise, and we keep them solving one by one. And a stage comes when we cannot find problem for something, and that stage is very rare. If you can reach to that level where there exists no problem in something, I think that is better. It happens in profession that relatively we say no problem exists now. That is relative. That is not fundamental. That is not original. Just like units of measurement. What measurement is? Okay, this is 1 meter, this is 1.5 meter, this is foot, this is kilogram, all this is degree Celsius, all like that. That is relative measurement, that's not original measurement. Well, we understand that. Being engineer, we should understand that point, that these measurements are only relative. And we know that fact, nothing new in that. We very well understand that it is only relative. We can't measure, we cannot do anything basics. Basic is our body, that we cannot produce. If you think of human body, this is basics. We cannot produce this by ourselves. We can do only limited act on that biological act, and that biological act of two persons can lead to generation of a baby. Same way, we do something, we use all original items, like we use raw materials, these are original because these we extract from earth. And whatever system we are living in, that is natural system, that is basic system, that is not relative system. It is basics because we cannot do it. Still today, sciences are very advanced, engineering is very advanced. If somebody asks some, okay, scientist, okay, engineer, can you make one earth? Well, I think that's a laughable question. That is a miraculous question. Nobody can answer this. If a question is raised, I want same earth here in this system. Can you make one? Well, it's beyond thinking, I think. Forget this 12,500 kilometer diameter lithosphere or earth. Think of just 1 kilometer earth like this, a model earth. Can we make it? 1 kilometer diameter spherical earth, like, in similar way, this earth has been constructed, and can we install that? First of all, it's not going to be possible to make it. And secondly, question of installation. So we can say we have to understand what is our strength. We have to understand what capacity do we have. And if we understand very well, we can say that we are nothing. We are just machines which are used by that power, which has given us responsibility, and that too is relative responsibility. That support is always given by that power. If there is no raw material, there is no natural provision of many material, we cannot do anything. First of all, no resource, we call them resources or sources, whatever you can say. If we don't have resources, we cannot do anything. Source comes first, then comes resource, and from resource we can say material resource, this is human resource, this is machine or equipment resource, this is a technical resource, this is all combinations of such resources lead to something different, something new, and we call it, we have done it. But we forget we have done nothing, in fact, because who does it? Human resources do it. They do it. That is first requirement of life, and there is no quality in human resources. We can say that it's complete failure. Human resources, number one resource, I can say, it may be whatever sort of resource, it may be highly educated or it may not be, I can say, highly skilled. It can be ordinarily skilled, or it can be in between high and low, or it can be somewhere between 0 to 100, 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%, or whatever percentages. As much as improved it is, it's better. Human resources means resource of mind. Important point is resource of mind. Every human has mind. You cannot say no. One could not use that, and one used it with priority. Those who use mind with priority, they can advance in education, they can advance in research, and those who do not use their minds with priority, they remain behind. Though mind they have, but they cannot use that equipment of mind. They could not use that power of mind, and they remain behind. But both are same. There is no difference, because it's not a human construction, it is God's construction. That point we have to understand. But do not forget, if mind is used by everybody can use it, can empower it, and that you can say it can be called quality mind. Every mind has some power. A helper who cannot work with mind but works for, you can say, excavation, or works for some other very low profile jobs. Low profile in a sense which is not given due importance. But for me, every job is important one. Every job is significant one, because every activity and combinations and sequence of all activities involved, that result in some work. Even the smallest item that we deliver in engineering is very important. You can say in engineering there is no limit, because every work in life has some relation to engineering. Even if we broom floor, it's a part of engineering. We have to clean it. We have to keep our area you can say, house kept or hygienic. Where to take bath, that's also a part of engineering. For taking bath, we need some system. We require some system of water supply, some system of drainage. And same way, we can say that's natural system, and that's rain, thunderstorm, weather conditions. All these are natural systems which we do not contribute anything to. Yes, we can use that or we can abuse that. That is different. But if you say strictly, there is no role human has to play in that. Human has rather spoiled it, polluted it. We are responsible for pollutions because we have done it. Our hunger for getting more and more, our hunger for sciences, our hunger for more better economy. I don't understand whole world as far as economy is concerned. Economists, scientists, engineers, others, they know there is no abundance of material. Whatever materials do we have, that is limited quantity. And it cannot change in 10 years or 15 years because of radioactivity involved. Materials are materials. We don't have, you can say, material that we are trying to have. We explore Earth, we explore lithosphere, and we even try to explore space. We go to other planets. I don't know for what. Yes, to study them, that's fine. But have you done something for this planet? Somebody wants to live on Mars. Somebody wants to live on Jupiter. Well, that is, you can say, speculation only. When we cannot live safely on Earth, I don't know where do we stand. I don't think science has reached that level or engineering has reached to that level. We can solve such problems. Ultimately, we come back to square one, and that is assumption and consideration of quality requirement and safety. Quality required everywhere in every activity in life and in engineering, and life is engineering based. Life is engineering based, which means that engineering is super life like medical. Two lives. Life relates to engineering and engineering relates to life. Medical relates to life and life relates to medical. These are two, you can say, top professions in whole world which lead all others. If we don't have good health system, people shall become more and more sick. It's not only that it should be super, it should be affordable. Super means affordable. If our health system is so expensive that 90% people or 80% people cannot afford it, then I can say we reject it. It's not super one. If it cannot reach everybody's capacity, you cannot say this is a system which is super. Medical should be super because health is considered wealth. First wealth is health. If we are not healthy, we are not safe, we don't live in good environment, we cannot survive healthily. And when we cannot survive healthily, you can say we cannot survive healthy, we cannot do anything sound. We cannot do anything expectedly efficient. That point we have to very well understand that medical is much more required. Good medical, smooth medical, affordable medical is much more required in life, and then engineering. You can say to God has given this health, this body, and we must respect God by keeping this body healthy. We don't do any obligation on ourselves. I am healthy or not healthy. Health is requirement. It's a kind of quality. You can say, you are having quality health. Yes, you are. You are having quality health. Of course, you can thank God for that, because health means you have proper medicine, you have proper usable resources, and you affordable air, affordable natural agencies which help you respire and run this life continuously without any failure. However, only few percentage contribution is done by ourselves, by human. Body not ours but God's production. All agencies that we use for living, God's production, God's you can say blessings, we just use that. We eat food, good food, that's also God given, we only process it. If there is no soil, there is no rain, there is no water, there is no seed, there is nothing, we cannot get food. Sun, every contribution comes from all these agencies. Our contribution is only to process it for purpose of crops growing. So what I say, even medical, we can say in medical sciences, we have medicines. It may be Ayurvedic or it may be allopathic or it may be homeopathic or it may be whatsoever. All these medicines come from nature. We cannot make them. We can, of course, we can find ingredients and use them, process them for purpose of medical production. And it applies to engineering also, that you may say medical and engineering are equally important for nation, for whole world. Medical is priority because everybody should be healthy, but that priority works only when there is engineering basis. If there is no hospital, say, there exists no hospital, no nursing home, nothing as such, where can doctors sit and work? How can you conduct operations? Means both are related. Equipment, we should have instrumentation, we should have equipment, medical equipment, engineering equipment. All those are related. If there is no instrument for measuring blood pressure, there is no instrument of something else measurement, how can doctor work? If there is no X-ray machine, how can doctor work? Means medical is interconnected to engineering and engineering is interconnected to medical. If we don't have good workers, healthy workers, we cannot do engineering. That's also true. If I am not healthy, I cannot stand on work, I cannot supervise work, I cannot contribute anything. So what I say here, life is engineering based, which means that engineering is super life like medical. So we can say in this short statement, quality required everywhere and in every activity in life, and in engineering, life is engineering based, which means that engineering is super life like medical. We have to respect our body, we have to respect our health, we have to respect our mind, so that we think smart and we think and we do smart. Physically we should do productive, we should do prompt, we should do accurate, and if we do mentally, we should think better than everybody else. So it can't be, you can't measure are you doing better or not, but your efficiency, your performance, your achievement directs what you are. We say in Hindi, Gunavakta har kaam mein avashyak. Yes, it is. Without quality, which is Gunavatta, means I don't know its right word, but I'm using it. Gunavatta har kaam mein avashyak. Quality is essential in every work, in every activity. Suraksha bina sab karam bekar. Without security, without safety, whatever we do, all you can say futile, not fertile. Utpadan ho, ya udyog, ya nirman, it may be production, it may be industrialized work, or it may be construction work. Safety, health and environment are required everywhere. During manufacturing and in construction, and also during use of products, wherever. You cannot do without that. These are must. Ergonomics is actually very important to understand. Some answer says, some search says this is kind of law of body. But why I analyze and understand myself that let us analyze this word, erg, and economics, egonomics, it is ergonomics. So let us say It's a combination, or this is an article, you can break it for analysis purpose. That's erg and economics. It says ergonomics. Erg is considered, you can say, kind of, and you can say it's not energy actually. This is a unit, you can say energy unit, seismic energy unit. Let us consider it's a unit. And economics, we can say that this is a kind of energy use economically. If energy is used economically, whatever energies we have, energies we do not waste blindly, but try to understand in a professional way, in a traditional way, what is best way to work. Physically, what is best way to work in desk while you're sitting, what is best way to work while you're walking or doing something, and whatever act we perform, it should be based on use of energies that you have. And if one does not have energy, we can't expect that person to work, because neither mind nor body shall coordinate together, and that person requires rest or recovery from such problems. So we can say ergonomics is a science that tells us about how to use available energies for doing work activities in best possible manner, so that worker is least impacted upon by adverse actions. These requirements are certainly must, and there is no way we can say no, we don't need this. You ask yourself, you will get answer. There is no way out, and without good quality compliance applications, good SHE compliance applications, nothing can move in right direction. We always say SHE, or safety, health and environment, is very first consideration on every activity, on every project, and on every operation supported by ergonomics. Safety, health, environment claims that safety first. And if safety is conducted, what happens? And if safety is not conducted, it is ignored, what happens? You know it very well. In Hindi we say, Suraksha hai to dard nahi, Suraksha nahi hai to dard hi dard. There is always pain if you don't observe safety. And if you observe safety, you will not feel undue pain. No safety, no pain, and no safety, no pain. Quality has to be complied with, defined requirements. This is ultimate objective that we are going to understand. And this should be within ambit of work specifications, because every work is based on some defined specifications which are not, you can say, unknown. We have to define what specifications we have to employ on activity, how do we have to do it, what is the best way, what is acceptable and what is not acceptable, what is level of tolerance, what is not level of tolerance. This means specification. If you have chance to see some specifications in engineering, you have to go through documents of specifications, and you will find all items, in particularly in civil engineering and other engineering, certain specifications are mentioned in nomenclatures of item. You may say this is item nomenclature, but after all that's a specification. And you can also see specification documents if you want to see what is specification. A particular requirement is specification. General requirement is also specification. Those items which everybody should supposed to know and operate them and apply them. Those requirements, you can say, these are specifications. These can be repeated all time, so we can name them general specifications. General. And these general are where general activities are conducted, which are repeatable activities. For example, in civil engineering we can say excavation, different variants of excavation, different sizes, different depths, different soils. And also we can say how to protect soil from impact of nature, from impact of water, from impact of this and from impact of that. Same way we can say how to do form work, how to do steel work, how to do concrete work, how to do whatever, how to do finishing items, how to do plaster, how to do rendering, how to do each and every item in construction. That is what we can say. We understand that industrially. That's also maybe something is not it's not in document form, but that can be done. And what we have done throughout life, even our workers, craftspeople, they do. Of course, it's not 100% technical, but technical work they do. They do technical work. It's based on sizes, it's based on measurement, it's based on ratio proportion, it's based on, you can say, certain scaling. And that's all it's called, how to do that. That specification itself it becomes. Means we specify ourselves that in this range we shall do, this is our plan, and every item is done accordingly. All items in construction, all items in civil engineering, all items in mechanical, electrical and all other engineering are based on certain descriptions of specifications, which can be project work specifications, or that can be standards specifications that come from international and national codes. So we can say quality has to be complied with defined requirements, and we have to limit ourselves which requirement we have to comply with and which requirements we have to ignore. Now, within impact of, within, you can say, ambit of work specifications, we have to work. We have to work within that. We cannot go below that. We may get above that, but at least if you do what is required, I think that can be called quality work and quality delivery. And it also applies to professionals. We have to ask a question. Every engineer has to ask a question. Nobody is going to ask you. You have to raise question to yourself. You have to answer to yourself. And if you are satisfied with that, because you are self-study person, you are self-teacher, you are a self-mover, you are a self-appointer, you can be freelancing person, you can be employed person, so you have a capacity to move further. So that question you have to ask yourself. What do you do? How do you do? Do you do as an engineer should be? Or you are not interested in you can say authority. You are just interested in survival economically. It's a different question, very different question. Can I evaluate myself? And if so, to what level? Can I decide myself what I am? Am I doing my job according to requirement? No one needs to inform you you are not doing your job. You know it very well. Every engineer knows whether work has been followed rightly or it has not been followed rightly. No requirement for someone else to advise you, to suggest you, because you are an engineer, you are a doctor. You know what's right and what's wrong. Of course, there are bodies above you, there are workers above you, there are employees, or you can say professionals above you. That is different. But you know yourself. Every child knows in this subject child is weak. Every child knows. Because response from child would tell you that. You have to study little psychology on this. Psychology means, I am not saying go to school or go to university to understand that. Life itself is a psychology, because it's linked to your mind as well as to your conscious. Both are related. Relation to mind is very important. If my mind tells me, no, I am not right, I am wrong. For whom I am waiting? For whom I am waiting? For none. I have to do what is required. That's why I say quality has to be complied with defined requirements. Within ambit of work specifications, quality ranges in allocations. Depending on indicative descriptions, and there exists no unlimited scope of quality criteria to be carried out. No future if no quality persists, and its specified requirements must be met. Says, depending on indicative descriptions, I said, and there exists no unlimited scope of quality criteria to be carried out. No future if no quality persists, and its specified requirements must be met. Gunavatta avashyak, character, quality. Quality is the character of work, you can say. though it's not exactly character we should have, because work cannot think of itself, work cannot decide of itself, but you can say quality speaks, delivery, which is work or which is service, that speaks what I am. And how does it speak? It speaks not because of its shape, it speaks because of its performance. When some material performs, you understand, you know that this is based on quality or this is based on no quality. Future lies in quality, future lies in safety. If no quality persists according to whatever specification adopted, that must be met, otherwise we cannot do this. Engineers must realize quality facts, and we can say अभियंताओं को समझना होगा. They shall have to understand what is quality. They understand but they don't apply due to whatever reason. Civil engineers have to change quality aspect of society, or else quality cannot exist. I can say with pride that civil engineers constitute a community that is responsible for quality requirement. It is basics of engineering, you can say. Civil engineering is basics actually. If something in engineering started, it started from civil. We name it civil, though you cannot say it is exactly civil, because civil has no professional meaning. It means public, civilians. Though civil engineering is applied everywhere, but name itself is civil, so no problem. We can say civil, or we can use its subject's name. However, engineering comes from basics of fundamental of civil works, because every work, every service, every product we have to use for people, we have to give it to people, and people have to use that. It's really very important point that we have to understand, that civil engineers have to change quality aspect of society, or else quality cannot exist, means engineering cannot exist. There's no place, as always I say, in our lives that has got no relation to engineering, and that is civil. Civil or mechanical or electrical or automobile, or likewise all these strong group of engineering makes life of people. Now life is made of mobile, life is made of video conferencing, life is made of webinars. It is secondary. First requirement is preliminary, primarily fundamental, and that is existence. Safe existence, protected existence from impact of nature. We should have clear roof on our heads, or you can say we should have clear shelter, we should have good clothing for protection, and we should have good food. Food is related to nature, 85%, 15% by ourselves, that we grow crops. Same way, clothes are related to nature. We get clothes because of trees, and also you can say housing. That's also a very important part for having good sleep, good security. All these are related to nature and engineering. We can indirectly say that civil engineers or civil engineering indirectly is a kind of 90% or 85% natural engineering. We cannot do anything in civil engineering without nature. We cannot do anything without nature. Process of construction, whatever item we do, directly or indirectly, natural material is involved. So civil engineering is public engineering, and we can say civil engineers are really, who can design structures, who can construct structures. So we can say designs of structures and others must be made decisive, safe, qualitative, and must be reliable for prosecution. What I say, design of structures and others must be made decisive, safe, qualitative, and must be reliable for prosecution. What is decisive? Decisive means analytical decision. It's not simply arbitrary. We cannot decide arbitrarily in engineering. Engineering is such. No arbitrary decision in engineering is justified. It should be based on logics. It should be based on requirement. What we have to do, we have to understand that. And we have one subject that's called theory of structures or applied mechanics or strength of material. These are, like you can say, linked subjects. When we say theory of structures, this means evaluation, how we can use this theory for purpose of designs, because designs are not first step, you can say. Design is second step. First step is understanding forces. And that's called analytical work. Understanding forces. Which forces? Forces that come to ourselves, our structures. If I have a building, there is always a force in each and every member of building. And for that force was assumed by someone, if that was designed properly. This force is expected on this building, and this force shall go to various component parts of that building, which could be suspended slab, cantilever slab, or it could be, you can say, columns, beams of slab of building, and all these are, can say, structural framing, we call it. So structural framing enjoys work of loads on this, work of actions on this. So it cannot be decided in one go what you have to construct. We have to try various loads, and we do it in designs, various styles, various combinations we take, and after long mind use, we exclusively don't depend on computers, in fact, because computers cannot answer everything. So what we say, we make decisions based on this material, based on that material, based on what I have built, what can be amended, what can be modified. Likewise, because we have to understand properties of materials, properties of, you can say, whatever else, we have to understand theories of designs, and we have to understand every part of logic we have. It's a combination of analysis, it's a combination of understanding problems, and based on all those, they have certain answers. And we can say it takes time, of course, if you are not experienced. That decision making is professional, it is analytical, it is logical, it is not arbitrary. We use arbitrary based on experience. We have done so much thing. I know, do this, we'll get. When we say it's based on experience, means, of course, we say, okay, I can directly do this. But we should understand from where did it come. Did somebody work on that, or you have to work on that? If I have to work on that and find that, okay, this was right, available, so I should say, okay, I am okay, I remember, though I didn't remember exactly what it is. So decision I have to make like that. This decision should be safe from use of that proposed work. Then it should have certain quality in it. We have to define ourselves, and our decision making itself be safe, and it should be qualitative. It should not unduly abuse materials to be used or included. It should not unduly increase cost, and it should not unduly abuse natural materials. So safety, qualitative, durability are all required, and this must be reliable for prosecution also. That's very important part. If it cannot be prosecuted, there's no meaning of that. We can say construction based on reasonable, coordinated, constructible quality, designs and SHE. Then construction method statement construction method statement, you can say. People maybe people are not much aware about that. I know in our country, but it's very common elsewhere. I have worked with many organizations and I contributed a lot onto such activities. You can say construction method statement. Method statement, you can say it's a must. It's a must for work implementation and therefore must be charted out professionally, and no concession can be allowed on this activity, because method statement or work procedure is a must, and it should tell formally about what it is to be done on you can say works, and that must be done for quality realization, or else there can be no real control. It's not simple statement, you can say. It's not simple statement. This statement has, you can say, built in, written in, quality issues, safety issues, material issues, resources issued, scope of work, what else is required, what equipment are required, or what is required quantity maybe, and many sketches, if possible. It's considerable job. And then you can say method, how to do it, how to examine it, how to test it, whether it is to be tested physically or it is to be tested theoretically. That's what involves method statement contents. Sometimes we have to generally take into consideration, for example, construction is activity, related standards of, you can say, local requirements, and of course international requirements or national requirements. We have to take into consideration for everything, and what is industrial process, what is industrial activity, what is best method that industry does, and all that requirements are considered, and what does our specification say. We have to read it and understand. Unfortunately, if you see professionally, documents, technical documents are very important in contracts. Contract form, contract submission is one part. Other part is, you can say, part in which we can push, we can inculcate on, you can say insert our different requirements, and which can give different you can say ways to do work. There can be many ways for one work to be done, but we cannot follow all ways simultaneously. We have to go one by one. We have to talk to people who are concerned. It may be contractor, it may be personnel of contractor, it may be designer, it may be others. And we can discuss what is required in this step by step. We have to keep in mind that safety is maintained, positive, and relative quality is maintained without any deviation, without any, you can say, exclusion. I'm not saying go word by word while working out on site, carrying out that activity, but activities must be performed. That is where, if we have proposals for every item we do, if we can propose that by thinking, yes, this is solution for this, there was some problem we could not follow it before, now we are keeping our house ready, tidy, conditioned, that we should not worry about. So we'll get quality decisions, and those decisions will be useful in engineering world. So we can say such medium professional document, that is method statement, which is a must for work implementation, and therefore must be charted out professionally. No concession can be allowed on this activity. Method statement or work procedure is a must, and it should tell formally about what is to be done on works, and that must be done for quality realization, or else there can be no real control. Quality realization means what function we expect from this material that should perform without causing any problems. You can say works and that must be done for quality realization, or else there can be no real control. This means this is control. This means method statement is a part of control. That means it is a must. And we cannot simply say, I know it, I do it. I don't accept this. I have seen such attitude in people. If you tell them something which maybe they don't know, but when they listen to you and say, okay, I know, they say, I know, but they don't do, I do. I know should be translated to I do, but that seldom happens. Expression of specific detail on connection, expression of specific detail in convenient format, expression of specific details for writing what to do, and maybe some standard diagrams, standard sections, which is standard to follow. As much as you can say conveniently applicable, we should not cause inconvenience to those who are going to work on that document. So we can say expression of specific details in convenient format for work performance and define elaborate performance, or else no work can be carried out in sequence and output suffers, resulting in bad standards works produced. Method statements must be made necessary for activities implementation, or else diverse ways can be adopted by site teams members without achieving any level of uniformity and consistency. So if you want to get uniformity, you want to reach a level where you can say consistency is achieved, that we have to understand. I just wanted to talk in detail something, that's why I made some revisions in this paper. Let's say I'm just selecting out important points. Inexperienced engineers may prove inefficient in viewing such risks-based emergencies, and therefore thorough deliberations or brainstorming must be conducted based on available data input. Risks must be clearly defined, and to reach its necessary resolutions and to convert to work convenience, or else risk can be very expensive in terms of lives and cost, and that we can say reliability plus. Reliability must be accessibility. Reliability must be accessibility defined and achieved. When we define something, it should be for practical purpose, not just meeting someone, say good morning or good evening, and then say okay, bye bye, thank you. Reliability equals safety from all involved factors, plus successful serviceability of intended purpose, and mandated durability of its working life. That is also very important. Durability. What is durability? Everybody thinks differently. What is durability? What we have to understand from that. In fact, you can say dur, in Hindi we call dur, which means distant. If you understand ability to move longer, ability to move to a distant fixed, ability to do something that can move to your requirement, and that's called design durability. Durability. Mandated durability. I require this. I require this house for 100 years. I require this building for 100 years. I require this product for 5 years. I require this car for 20 years, 15 years. Likewise, You can say, I design this product for use for so many years. That is called mandate of durability, and that should be a part of whatever we have talked to today about safety, about requirement, about service under some specifications or per specifications. That durability is very important part. If your house is changeable in 5 years, I think that's not engineering. So that durability must exist on solid grounds, and it can be amended also when required. So we can say mandated durability of its working life, and that working life is not simply working, it should be quality working, its material should work, its resources which you employed should work, and it should remain safe in all weather conditions. You can say mandated durability of its life, all other necessary resources involved, applicable knowledge areas, factors, which resources must be understood and achieved in all procedures, or else one should learn before taking responsibility, and all foregoing issues must be considered along with all possible risks. We have to understand reliability, because we ourselves say this is reliability. This is the work we have done up to now, this much, and serviceability it can give, and also it's going to follow mandated durability of its working life, and all other necessary resources involved, applicable knowledge areas, factors involved, which resources must be understood very well and then achieved in all procedures, or else one should learn before taking responsibility, and all foregoing issues must be considered along with all possible risks. Analysis, as I said always, I say always, there is no substitution for analysis. Actually, analysis is a kind of mathematics. Though it's not formally mathematics, it's like mathematics, that we have to calculate what we have done, what we had to do, and what we could do. That is analysis. Is professionally a tool, you can say a master tool, or you can say it's a tool for all purposes. It's a tool for work contemplation, what we are going to do, what is the right way of doing something, and what can do, what we can achieve, and that analysis is an indicator. But analysis is very difficult. It's not easy. It cannot be defined. You can only define yourself. What is analysis? I'm talking of analysis of every act. It's not only structural analysis. It is all analysis involved. It's a different term. If I define here, it won't work even. As I said, it's considered an exclusively engineering basis. It's considered an exclusive engineering basis, an intellectual tool that can penetrate into all problems and unearth required solutions. And there exists no way from where or through which analysis approaches could be avoided, or analytical approaches could be avoided. It's something very heavy, because it's a must. All problems to be understood by this approach. So, well, it can be defined whatever way. In our acts, you have to analyze, you have to think of that. You cannot mix it with different other items. You may say it's a kind of opening of your brain. Analysis can force you to open your brain, which is locked, because when you are locked and your brain doesn't work, you cannot digest food also. So analysis is extremely important, which suggests you that we have to first go through all problems that we have in big utensils. It's a kind of use of knowledge, use of mind, use of body strength. Every time we have to use it. We have to. It's a tool like hammer and chisel, which can chip out all bad impurities. And also analysis is done calculation wise. It can be done synthesis way, like how many problems I have. There are so many analyses which cannot be done on papers, and there are hundreds and thousands of analyses that have been done by someone like me, not having much knowledge, much information, yet move on. So you can say analysis is indispensable. There is no definition of this, but you have to define yourself, confined to project where you are in. So I can say it's a master tool, and you become your own master. Don't depend on others to tell you what should be done. Then opposite to that is this one. There can be long talk of analysis, there can be very long talk, but better we understand. It's a calculation. We have to calculate, and that is analysis. Analysis means calculation, and calculation doesn't mean mathematical calculation. It is reason calculation, it is work calculation. Calculate how you are going to do this, what is best way out of that, compare many ways, and this is best way where I can save time, I can save cost, and if cost is not, then you can say at least I can give satisfaction to my client and to myself that we are doing a job, and that can come only after several hours of rest. So we may say, when we have complete analysis of every problem, and we are sure that I can solve this problem, I can better it out. So analysis is converted to synthesis, and one analysis cannot be synthesized. Means there should be many questions and many answers to them by conducting analysis, and that you have those answers which can be used for synthesis purpose, and it is actually synthesis, and then we can say, okay, we are going to work on this. So we can say analytical based engineering results to apply, and analytical based performance, and analytical based engineering results to apply, and analytical based performance provides a chain of solutions that can be named synthesis. After all, solutions are integrated per requirements of suitability, and every solution, all solutions network must reach compatibility, and that's called thinking and concentration result. When I'm saying thinking and concentration, it's not that you have to sit down and think. That doesn't mean. Wherever you are, in whatever position you are, mind accepts all conditions. Mind contains all conditions, and thinking and concentration are very important part of mind. Our mind grows of that, and it helps further, because when you think something and contemplate and concentrate, actually you program that. You program that in your mind as well as in your, where you are going to test that material, you can say laboratory, whatever it is. So our function should be to clear all these holes, to divide these capacities, and all that is done by thinking and concentration. Concentration means you have to keep on one center, you have to keep focus of some item, and that is your quality and work, both should be in focus. And thinking is your own power. I cannot give you, nobody can give you. It's your own power, and you know how much it is. People can understand by your high level of thinking, but thinking you have to use, you have to convert And until you convert yourself, you enrich yourself to some level, you cannot make up anything. I say unlimited. Yes, it is unlimited. Unlimited. And means I repeat that. Unlimited, 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 unlimited. An only way and an exclusive way for solutions. We cannot get solution otherwise. We cannot get thinking and concentrations are unlimited. There is no limit you cannot think about. You can think even of that place where God sits. There is no limit to stop you. There is no such limit. If we ingratitude ourselves, we can do that, but we will not do that. So you can say an only way, and that is thinking and concentration. Thinking and concentration, you can say in unlimited way, unlimited potential to unlimited potential is required. It's an only way and an exclusive way for solutions. Thinking based contemplation and you can say must be achieved. It is our job. We cannot say we are doing extraordinary work. Thinking and concentration can leave our problem and gives to us, or provides us a synthesized result of work. Designs and prosecution works must be achieved. If design is achieved, it must be prosecuted. Only then we can understand what was wrong with that or what is right with that. And this is called applications, and group of application is called engineering. Group of applications together just by raising limits of fiber. It's easy, really, it's not difficult. It's not difficult. Engineering is easy if you understand it, and engineering is, you can say, very difficult if you cannot understand it. Engineering is very, very critical if we cannot pick up, or it's very interesting if we can understand it, because it takes us to realization of life. And quality is very power. You can say quality is a power of work. Quality is a power of engineering. Quality non-conformance product is called substandard, and therefore it is rejected. Means it is substandard for that activity that you do. Yes, if you're not doing anything, that's different. But doing something qualitatively is more difficult. So engineering we have to salute if you do really, and quality is engineering, life is quality based. You have to understand that point also. Non-conformance means engineer is either weak, careless, or ignorant, or incompetent one, and therefore is a redundant personnel. I don't want to say, I don't want to understand, I don't want to hear that this engineer is not good one. No one should say that. Non-conformist means engineer is either careless or ignorant or incompetent one, and therefore is a redundant personnel. We must change to meet requirements to achieve intended quality standards for universal recognition of products or goods. Quality requirement checks being a must. We cannot say no. Quality requirement checks being a must. If you do not accept that, and you accept, okay, missing, which means is misused. Missing which we have to blame ourselves, none else. Missing which we have to blame ourselves for quality achievement failure. Engineering means quality application and continuous improvement of quality. Continuous improvement of quality, CIQ, and there is no way that exists not to comply with defined or specified quality levels, because definition of quality is a must, and that definition requires to be achieved, or else what? Or else work leads to status of being unsuccessful and to be reperformed. Engineers are problem solver. They are, you can say, high, you can say, expenditure. There is high expenditure on engineering, and engineers are problem solvers. Engineers are developers. Engineers are agents of change. Engineer can convert a forest or a desert into a city or an industrial town, for which quality and SHE play integrated and merged with vital roles of all respects. This is a very important point. Work leads to status of being unsuccessful and to be reperformed. That point we should keep in mind if we really want to understand quality, safety, engineering. Engineering is very big science, very widest, you can say, it's widest world of profession. We cannot compare engineering to any other profession, because all professions are smarter but small. Our engineers should be mindful, should be workful, should be qualityful. Then we can say something can be done. So we can say engineers are problem solvers, and engineers are developers, and engineers are agents of change. Engineers change all. Engineers can change all. Engineers can change desert to city. They can change, solve to city. Everything happens. We may say engineer can convert a forest to desert. By what? By engineering. We have to keep that in mind. And then we can say we have to move to other. Previously we were talking about important, it was very, that is inspections and audit, because without inspections and audit, which is very much part of quality, it's actually to make sure that whatever provisions were included or are included in system, those are complied with or those are not complied with. If we have to attend, we have to concentrate on. That is very important point in this. In this we have talked before about scope, which says that it applies to all construction, site operations and activities being carried out by contractors and their subcontractors on project. And purpose of this statement is that to outline various arrangements to be followed for inspection and audit, safety, health, environment, conditions on site and at subcontractors' premises where project work is being carried out. This is a practical case I am going to refer to you, but it tells what is required or what is not required. It may be green field or it may be brown field, both elsewhere are worn in. There are so many definitions involved which I am not going to repeat because there is no meaning of that, and we last time explained this list, which I go to last pages, last rows, because it was electrical isolation and lockout, it was a lighting arrestor system, it was grounding system, and all these were completed in 3 steps. These completed steps must be understood well. We taught warning signs, grounding system, review process and utility designs to ensure that whatever failure results in a safe conditions. Then we had to go to our safety administration, health and welfare. In safety administration, we discussed about maintenance management or organization communications, toolbox talks, management inspection, task talks, specialized training, notice boards and publicity, supervisory role, demand defined, follow-up remedial actions. Of course, we provided some marks, so that's another way you can choose your way. There's no, so safety administration is that. Then health welfare, we also involved in, and drinking water in cups, toilet facilities, washing facilities, first aid and medical facilities these are very small. It's like go to the chemist and get this. Health welfare in this drinking water or refreshment or toilet, washing, first aid or food or whatever else you can say, fence, restrooms, all that are required for our physical workers who use their blood for our work, our project. So then we can say emergency procedures we talked of, rescue equipment, emergency transportation, emergency communication, muster point, alarms, wind socks, fire equipment we talked of. We talked of access and egress from working places, and that is ladders inspected, ladders used, pumps, general access, stairways properly built, scaffolds, erection, guardrails, kick plates, housekeeping. And there are so many more could be access and egress, working place assessment, head protection, eye protection, foot protection, hearing protection, respiratory protection, hand protection, safety harness, and then specialist protection, and then excavations we try to get in analytical approach, sloped, benched or short, barrier, warnings, spoil, clearance, access and egress, and then man-machine interface. Then we had lifting plant and equipment, which are also very, very important from progress viewpoint, from quality viewpoint. And those are cranes, general conditions, hoist winches, excavators, conditions of wire ropes, certified equipment, we can say conditions of shackles, hooks, storage of lifting equipment, vehicle condition, backup alarms, tire, brakes and lights, competent and approved operators. And in electrical systems, temporary electrics we did, residual current devices, earth leakage breakers, warning signs posted, cable, organization management, fittings and connections. In compressed gas, we also studied proper storage, means separation of various gases. Then you can say conditions of cylinders, color coding, warning signs, flashback arresters, fire extinguisher, cylinder secured, changed technology, chain technology. Then hose conditions, hose and sparks containment, hand and power tool, compressed gas, you can say working at heights, then we studied working at height means erection properly supervised, line anchor points provided, PPE, that is personal protective equipment, harness used, safe access, weather limitations, tag lines used, and in working at height, environment conditions, noise control, road maintenance, pollution controls, dust suppression, heat exhaustion, environmental protection, then printing, grid blasting, ventilation, containment, screening, then earthing, communication, flammable materials and PPEs. Then housekeeping we studied, and we studied good site layout, materials stacked, lay down areas, material storage, timber denailed, walkways, working platforms kept clear, housekeeping arrangements, and other reasons which you feel or should not be recorded. So we can say in housekeeping, very important for everyone, good site layout, material stacked, lay down areas, material storage, timber denailed, and walkways, working platforms, housekeeping arrangements, line management, that is adequate supervision, commitment, near miss reporting, incident follow up, safety awareness, toolbox stocks. After that, we went further and we went to various definitions of higher profile work. Various definitions in that we try to get into, and that depends upon everyone. How do you understand that? It's not common, but we have here a list which we said, okay, this list may do, and we can add more points to this list. There's no limit, but we have to keep in mind that enlarging everything means not caring for evidence. We have to say leadership and administration. Leadership and administration, management training, organization training, project health and safety rules, health control program, personal protective equipment, communications and meetings, health and safety promotion, employee training, purchasing control, material management, work equipment management, contractor control, emergency preparedness, fire prevention, risk assessments, procedure and method statements, incident reporting, investigation, documentation and resources, program monitoring and surveillance. If we go one by one, we will find so much in that. It's not that we have to limit ourselves. It depends on which project we have. There are varying sizes of projects, there are varying classes of projects, and all projects are mixed up. There is no independent project that we can say this is professional project. Every project, every scheme is mixed up. And that's where we say we are professionals. Example is say, I don't get any job, I don't get any business in profession. Should I keep on saying drinking and eating? Because we can say leadership, organization, administration. We cannot go through each again and again. We should think of that in a different position because we have already discussed that. What are important points in this? That's very important. If we go back to all, we'll find important points are here which can cause problems on works. And those are unexpectedly that happens. That which we did not expect, we did not even think of, but we have it. And that's where we can say we should be careful about. We should be careful about that situation that can cause problems to us. That can cause problems to us, and those problems must go out. Those problems must be understood well. And if we cannot do that, then we fail ourselves. You know, when we work for something. We work for project. Or when we work in factory somewhere, in industries, we work for production. We work for production of material, and by each production, each further step, everybody get some knowledge. You may not get knowledge below train or area below train, but it's below engineering. Do I send workers to meet accidents? No, it should not be. And we have experience now. Every one of us, we have experiences. Workers, contractors, engineers have experiences in life. And those experiences are very, very critical, very much improvable, because I'm talking of unexpected incidents, and we call them health hazards. Health hazards. Health hazards, you can say, or health. We are disturbed because of health hazards. You cannot do anything cooperative. You cannot do anything safe. Hazards should not come to us, that we can say. But these come to us. We have to assess, as we say, anticipate what can be hazard there. We have said that we can anticipate risks. Okay, we can anticipate risks, but we can anticipate further. What losses shall it give? To what extent it can be? This means we have to have a view that we can say is distant view, but that's not easy. Only those who can understand vision, they have this idea. Chemicals can lead us to problems. Chemicals are used on sites. It is a problem. Noise cannot be avoided. There is no way we can avoid noise. It can be a problem. Noise cannot be avoided. Manual handling cannot be avoided. Temperature extremes cannot be avoided. And you can say radiations can be managed but cannot be avoided. Then you can say biology and dust and fume and other diving operations. These are few. There can be many more. Because in every activity, hazards are involved. And it's not only hazards, it's experience that helps. Experience is more important than theory sometimes. I'm not saying all times, sometimes. Because without that, we cannot do anything. We cannot do anything, and we have to depend on that. Chemicals are used in engineering construction. These are used in storage. We procure material and store it. There are so many chemicals we have in construction. We have chemical construction material that is used for repairs of RCC or repairs of some other item. There are various types of chemicals which are used in construction industry. Curing compound, very critical material. Epoxy based materials, epoxy mortar, or you can say waterproofing mortar, other mortars, other chemicals, grouting materials, and whatever can be used. For example, injections we do on concrete. We apply injections through syringe, and some technology is involved. It can be even for non-humans, and we have to think about that. Because the chemicals these days are used in concrete, these are used in mortar, and these are used in many other activities. Many items of many you can say chemical materials, chemical compositions are used, and this can cause problems with our workers. Actually, cement is also a kind of chemical. Clay is organic chemical. Because of clay, we construct bricks. And you can say soil itself has chemical components. This cannot be separated by ordinary means, but we do a lot, you can say. We can do a lot. That's very important point. We have to handle manually or by some other means so the hazards can be avoided. We have to understand them. What chemical materials statement says, if you refer to its data sheet or if refer to some other document, we have to know how can it be dangerous, and we have to know in what conditions this material is to be applied. Really, it is important, very important. If we run away from this proposition, we run away from ourselves, and that's not acceptable. From excavation to all top finishes, in oil fields or in non-oil fields, all these items are used. We have temperature extremes in weather. Somewhere it may be cold or in hot conditions. Hot conditions are very unbecoming, unpleasant. But pleasant or unpleasant, work is work. It is required means it is required. If it's not required, it's not required. We have to understand this point. We have to understand what temperatures are there. Though being contractor, we know it. And then we have to use our workers according to less impact, that's subjected to less impact of detrimental effect. You cannot expose whole force on those actions. Therefore, it's very important that we have to understand theories behind all these requirements. Biological means how it affects radiation wise, and we can say dust and fumes that cause impact as hazards and other operations. Means thorough analysis should be done before concluding our statements. We are concluding our objectives, which activity we are going to do, which area we are working in, and these hazards are very important to be understood by everybody. And hazard doesn't mean one should go to site and quarrel together. That is adjustment, that's parallel. This point you have to understand very well. If you can understand this, we have explained already, temperature extremes are very dangerous for everybody. Then we have to control these hazards. We have to control substances hazards to health. We have to control them. It's a very, very important point. I'm saying control of hazards. Control of hazards, very important point, and we should know that one. Control of hazards. Just trying to find some document. It says both construction workers and members of public required to be protected from hazards associated with falling objects. Both groups should be protected by use of covered walking and suitable netting of catching falling debris. That's one part. And we can say, if I find some good site, which is better. Sometime you can say, let us see this, if we can get something of this. United States Department of Labor, construction workers. Let us say this. I don't want to find. Let me print this itself. So we can talk on this. It's also very important to know this. So let us concentrate on this, though maybe I have this one before, but I don't exactly remember. So let's do, before I had no problem, let's say what's control and what's prevention of this. We can say that this guidance is not a standard one. It's from here, you can say this is from here. This is COVID-19 control and prevention, let's say construction work it is. It says, guidance is not a standard regulation. It creates no legal binding, no legal obligations. It contains recommendations as well as descriptions of mandatory safety and health standards. Recommendations are advisory in nature, informational in content, and are intended to assist employers in providing a safe and healthful workplace. Occupational Safety and Health Act requires employers to comply with safety and health standards and regulations promulgated by OSHA by a state or with OSHA approved state plan. In addition, Act's General Duty Clause Section 5A1 requires employers to provide their employees with a workplace free and recognized hazards like to cause death or serious problem, physical harm. This section this section provides guidance for construction employers and workers such as those engaged in carpentry, ironworking, plumbing, electrical, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, ventilation, masonry and concrete work. Utility, construction work and earth moving activities. This guidance supplements general interim guidance for all workers and employers of workers with potential occupational exposures to SARS-CoV-2. Let us say that one. It's important because COVID is also involved. No problem. It's okay. We can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. If you can say safety training, it's not training. Actually, you can say that it is safety related. Just a minute, please. PQRS. So I can say COVID-16. Let us say COVID-16 is safety. All right, no problem. Just give me 2 minutes. I'll come back. Better. Just give me 2-3 minutes. I'll come back. Excuse me. I'll go up and come back. So we can say again that that this this section provides guidance for construction employers and workers such as those engaged in carpentry, ironworking, plumbing, electrical, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, ventilation, masonry and the concrete work, utility, construction works and earth moving activities. This guidance supplement general interim guidance for all workers and employers of workers with potential occupational exposure SARS-CoV-2. Remain alert or changing outbreak conditions. Remain alert of changing outbreak conditions, including as they relate to community spread of virus and testing availability, and implement infection prevention measures accordingly. As states or regions satisfy getting criteria to progress through phases of guidelines for opening of America again, you will likely be able to adopt this guidance to better suit evolving risk levels and necessary control measures in your workplaces. What to do? Assess hazards. Assess hazards to which your worker may be exposed. Evaluate risk of exposure and select, implement and ensure workers use controls to prevent exposure. What says? Assess. Assess hazards. You have to assess hazards to which your workers may be exposed. Evaluate risk of exposure and select, implement and ensure workers use controls to prevent exposure. Now there is a table that describes construction work tasks associated with exposure risk levels in OSHA's occupational exposure risk pyramid, which may serve as a guide to employers in this sector. Construction work tasks associated with exposure risk levels. Task, this is level, one is lower, caution, medium, high, very high. 4 classes are here. That is caution, where you have to take precaution. That's lower one, medium one, high one and very high one. Tasks that allow employees to remain at least 6 feet apart and involve little contact with public, visitors or customers. That is, notice there, for activities in lower caution risk category, OSHA's interim guidance for workers and employers of workers at lower risk of exposure may be most appropriate. Medium says tasks that require workers to be within 6 feet of one another, tasks that require workers to be in close contact within 6 feet with customers, visitors or members of public, and that is medium risk, where you can say within 6 feet you are. Previous was at least 6 feet apart, here is within 2 meters within you are, and that is medium risk. Tasks that require workers to be within 6 feet of one another, tasks that require workers to be in close contact within 6 feet with customers or visitors or members of public. Then it is high risk here, entering an indoor work site. It says entering an indoor work site occupied by people such as workers, customers, or residents suspected of having or known to have COVID-19, including when an occupant of site reports signs and symptoms consistent with COVID-19. It says entering an indoor work site. Entering an indoor work site occupied by people such as other workers, customers, or residents suspected of having or known to have COVID-19, including when an occupant of site reports signs and symptoms consistent with COVID-19. In this case, employers may consider delaying this work following guidance below. Means it's very important part. It says though it's high, entering an indoor work site occupied by people such as other workers, customers, or residents suspected of having or known to have COVID-19, including when an occupant of site reports signs and symptoms consistent with COVID-19. Employers may consider delaying this work following guidance below. Now, very high. Category not applicable for most anticipated work tasks. Most construction work tasks are associated with no more than high exposure risk. How can I say? So the work task associated with lower, medium or high risk on this chart. This is what OSHA says, but I don't agree with this. Well, conducting a job hazard analysis. Conducting a job hazard analysis can help. Conducting a job hazard analysis can help one to determine whether work activities require close contact within 6 feet between workers and customers, visitors or other members of public. When a job hazard analysis identifies activities with higher exposure risks and those activities are not essential, consider delaying them until they can be performed safely. When appropriate, infection preventing measures as discussed on this page can be implemented or once community transmission subsides. What are engineering controls? In indoor construction environment, when work is determined to be essential or emergency work and a person, co-worker, visitor, resident, subcontractor suspected of having or known to have COVID-19 is present at work site in close proximity to where workers would be working, use closed doors and walls whenever feasible as physical barriers to separate workers from any individuals experiencing signs and or symptoms consistent with COVID-19. Consider erecting plastic sheeting barriers when workers need occupy specific areas of an indoor work site where they are in close contact, that is less than 2 meters, with someone suspected of having or known to have COVID-19. During COVID-19 pandemic, periodically reassesses engineering controls as well as work practices and administrative controls to identify and changes that can be made to decrease need for N95 respiration. N95 respirators or other respirators with a high level of protection and other personal protective equipment ordinarily used for work activities that involve exposure to hazardous substances. This can help convert PPE that is in short supply or needs be diverted to activities associated with higher SARS-CoV-2 exposure risk. For example, a reassessment of engineering controls may identify improvements to water delivery. A reassessment of engineering controls may identify improvements to water delivery or dust collection systems that further reduce ambient dust when cutting, breaking, jackhammering or drilling. You can say a reassessment of engineering controls may identify improvements to water delivery or dust collection system that further reduce ambient dust when cutting, breaking, jackhammering or drilling. Administrative controls. Use administrative controls when feasible to reduce or to eliminate risk of exposure. Implement and update policies to reflect standard operating procedures that follow Centers for Disease Control and Prevention (OSHA), state, territorial and local guidelines for preventing spread of COVID-19 infection. Training for employees on spread of disease in geographic areas in which they work. Screening calls when scheduling indoor construction work to assess potential exposures and circumstances in work environment before worker entry. Certain questions for screening work assignments before sending a worker to perform construction activities in an indoor environment that may be occupied by a home worker, customer, worker or another occupant. Preface these questions with an explanation that they are being asked to protect workers and minimize spread of COVID-19. There are screening questions and recommended actions. Question is construction worker at an occupied work site essential, urgent or emergency work? Answer is if yes, proceed with a hazard assessment to determine how best to proceed while minimizing exposure for worker. Now, question is, are there any individuals in occupied site under quarantine or isolation due to a confirmed case of COVID-19? Recommended action is closely follow recommended infection prevention measures in sections of engineering controls, administrative controls, safe work practices and PPE. Question is, if work is determined to be essential, urgent or emergency work, are there certain individuals or contractors in occupied site suffering flu-like symptoms to which your employee may be exposed? Recommendation is closely follow recommended infection prevention measures in sections of engineering controls, administrative controls, safe work practices and PPE. Train construction workers. Train construction workers on signs and symptoms of COVID-19 and an explanation of how disease is potentially spread, including fact that infected people can spread virus even if they do not have symptoms. Infected people can spread virus even if they do not have symptoms. All policies and procedures that are applicable to employees' duties as they relate to potential exposure to SARS-CoV-2, it's helpful to provide employees with a written copy of those standard operating procedures. Information on appropriate social distancing and hygiene practices, including avoid physical contact with others and maintain a distance of at least 2 meters from customers and other individuals whenever feasible and practically possible, including inside work trailers. Appropriate cleaning practices, washing hands frequently with soap and water for at least whatever number of 20 seconds, or if soap and water are not immediately available, using alcohol-based hand sanitizer that contains at least 60% alcohol and rubbing hands until they are dry. Sanitizing all surfaces workers touch. Proper way to cover coughs and sneezes following CDC recommendations, that is, sneezing or coughing into a tissue or into upper sleeve. Alternatives to shaking hands upon entry, and importance of workers not touching their own faces, mouth, nose, eyes. Benefits of driving to work sites or parking areas individually, when possible, without passengers or carpools. Types, proper use, limitations, location, handling, decontamination, removal and disposal of whatever PPE be used. Types, proper use, limitations, locations, handling, decontamination, removal and disposal of whatever PPE being used. Importance of staying home if they are sick. Wearing masks over their noses and mouths to prevent them from spreading virus. Need continue using other normal control measures, including personal protective equipment necessary to protect workers from other job hazards associated with construction activities. Using environmental protection agency approved cleaning chemicals from list N or that have label claims against coronavirus for cleaning frequently touched surfaces like tools, handles and machines. Using Environmental Protection Agency approved cleaning chemicals from list N that have label claims against coronavirus for cleaning frequently touched surfaces like tools, handles and machines. Need report whatever safety and health concerns. Implement standard operating procedures and employee training. Implement standard operating procedures and employee training to ensure that before entry into home environments or areas where construction goes on in occupied building, workers request that individuals under quarantine or isolation who have been diagnosed with COVID-19 or are experiencing signs or symptoms of COVID-19 remain physically separated from worker, that is in a different room on a different level of home or building or outside if weather and applicable emergency orders permit, and communicate remotely with worker, that is by cell phone, using internet-based payment systems and electronic signatures to confirm that work was completed. Ask individuals in workplace to wear a cloth or other face covering if available and to cover coughs and sneezes. Request that shared spaces in construction area have good airflow, such as by turning on an air conditioner or opening windows. Weather permitting consistent with CDC recommended precautions for people in households. Cloth face covering in construction. Cloth face covering in construction. CDC recommends wearing cloth face covering as a protective measure in addition to social distancing, that's staying at least 6 feet away from others. Cloth face coverings may be especially important when social distancing is not possible or feasible based on working conditions. A cloth face covering may reduce amount of large respiratory droplets that a person spreads when talking, sneezing or coughing. Cloth face coverings may prevent people who do not know that they have virus that causes COVID-19 from spreading it to others. Cloth face coverings are intended to protect other people, not wearer. Cloth face coverings are intended to protect other people, not wearer. Cloth face coverings are not PPE. They are not appropriate substitutes for PPE such as respirators like N95 respirators or medical face masks like surgical masks in workplaces where respirators or face masks are recommended or required to protect wearer. While wearing cloth face coverings is a public health measure intended to reduce spread of COVID-19 in communities, it may not be practical for workers to wear a single cloth face covering for full duration of a work shift, namely 8 or more hours, on a construction site if they become wet, soiled or otherwise visibly contaminated during work shift. If cloth face coverings are worn on construction sites, employers should provide readily available clean cloth face coverings. If cloth face coverings are worn on construction sites, employers should provide readily available clean cloth face coverings or disposable face mask options for workers to use when coverings become wet, soiled or otherwise visibly contaminated. Employers who determine that cloth face coverings should be worn at a construction site, including to comply with state or local requirements for their use, should ensure cloth face coverings. Number one is fits over. Coverings fit over nose and mouth and fit snugly but comfortably against side of faces. Fit over nose and mouth and fit snugly but comfortably against side of faces. Assure, hold on. Fit over nose and mouth and fit snugly but comfortably against side of face are secured with ties or ear loops include multiple layers of fabric, allow for breathing without restriction, can be laundered using warmest appropriate water setting and machine dried daily after shift without damage or change to shape. A clean cloth face covering should be used each day. Are not used if they become wet or contaminated. Are replaced with clean replacements provided by employer as required or needed. are handled as little as possible to prevent transferring infections materials to cloth and are not worn with or instead of respiratory protection when respirators are needed. Safe work practices. Safe work practices. Safe work practices. To extent possible, screen all visitors on all construction sites in advance of their arrival on job site for signs and symptoms of COVID-19. Adopt staggered work schedules, namely provide alternating work days or extra shifts to reduce total number of employees on a job site at whatever given time and to ensure physical distancing. Identify choke points where workers are forced to stand together, such as hallways, hoists and elevators, ingress and egress points, break areas and buses, and implement policies to maintain social distancing. In elevators, and personal hoists, ensure 2-meter distance between passengers in all directions and equip operators with appropriate respiratory protection and other necessary PPE. Coordinate site deliveries in line with employers' minimal contact and cleaning protocols. Delivery personnel should remain in their vehicles if at all possible. Coordinate site deliveries in line with employers' minimal contract and cleaning protocols. Institute a rigorous housekeeping program to reduce dust levels on job site. Keep in-person meetings, including toolbox talks and safety meetings, as short as possible. Limit number of workers in attendance and use social distancing practices. Ensure clean toilet and hand washing facilities. Ensure clean toilets and hand washing facilities. Clean and disinfect portable job site toilets regularly. Fill hand sanitizer dispensers regularly. Disinfect frequently touched items, door pulls and toilet seats regularly. Flexibilities regarding OSHA's PPE requirements and prioritization of PPE during COVID-19. Some employers may experience shortages of PPE, including face shields and respirators, as a result of COVID-19 pandemic. Personal protective equipment. Most construction workers are unlikely to require PPE beyond what they use to protect themselves during routine job tasks. Such PPE may include a hard hat, gloves, safety glasses, and a face mask. However, under OSHA's PPE standards for construction, employers must consider whether their hazards and risk assessments, including construction site job hazard analysis, indicate a need for use of more protective PPE. Make every effort to protect workers through measures other than PPE. When workers require PPE, employers must comply with OSHA's standards of PPE in construction. When other control measures are not sufficient to protect workers, equip those who must enter potentially hazardous homes or occupied work sites with adequate supplies of appropriate PPE. PPE ensembles may include gloves, eye protection and or face shields. In limited circumstances, including situations involving close contact within 2 meters or 6 feet with someone with suspected or confirmed COVID-19, respiratory protection may be needed and must be provided by employer in accordance with criteria as given indicated here. When respiratory hazards exist, employers must comply with OSHA's respiratory protection standard. OSHA is providing enforcement flexibility under standard. When disposable respirators are used, employers must comply with requirements of OSHA's respiratory protection standard, including requirement of trained workers to respirators before entry, don respirators before entry, and to remove and probably disperse of respirators upon exit. So this is very small. However, we can say that we have to think more and more about this. It's only how to do is this work and that work, but we know in construction works, concrete is a big element. In construction, form work, fixing, formwork fabrication, reinforcing bars, cutting and bending and placement. Builders work, you can say builder block, brickwork, block work, plastering, rendering, backfilling of foundations. All these are very important activities which can't be taken for granted. Excavation can be done by excavator, or very small quantity can be done by manual excavation. That doesn't cause major problem. And we can say fabrication of formwork and work on steel reinforcement. These are very critical activities. We cannot simply consider indoor work or outdoor work here. Both, actually, these are not indoor works. In fact, these are yard work where only a kind of sheeting is placed at height and no sides are available for such works. And in construction, RCC work is done by fabrication of formwork and by fabrication of steel work. And both of these are both human resources, or you can say manual oriented, manually done, as well as partly these are done by equipment, machine. You cannot simply limit them to indoor or external works. You have to understand this point. A column formation means fabrication of column sides, fabrication of beam sides, beam bottoms, and also fabrication of many other requirements. One person cannot do that. One person cannot do it. No way. Such activities cannot be done by one person, and not even by two persons, to be very frank. You are working on a column form. You have to arrange materials for that. Material is to be cut, it is to be shifted, nails are required, sawing is done, fabrication is done, leveling is done. One person cannot do it. At least 2 or 3 persons are required to do even a small plate of column or beam. Of course, slab, on sides we can place full plies or cut plies, but activities of columns, fabrication, beam fabrication are really important. We cannot do without that. This point we have to understand clearly, that we cannot leave such activities alone. Always we establish reinforcing yards on site or somewhere else where these are procured and stored and then cut and bent, particularly steel reinforcement. Similarly, on sites, we create some temporary structure, temporary yard where work of carpenter goes on, and they, of course, work together. And we cannot say that they can keep safe distance of 6 feet or 2 meters. That is not practical. That is not going to happen. It's easy to say, but we cannot postpone that work also. So only way is that they have to use protective measures. Okay, they can use face masks or face cloth. They have to use. And generally they use safety glasses while doing sawing work and that's a must now, that you should use safety glasses as well. And of course gloves is natural. When you work, it's hot, you use. Safety shoes are already there, that's not big deal. So one requirement is that they must use gloves, hand gloves, and they must use face masks or face cloth and also glasses. And social distancing is not maintainable there. Of course, there is one requirement that when they saw something, there's sawdust, and that dust can lead to hazards, fire hazards or wind hazards. These particles, soft particles of dust, these particles of wooden dust can spread on to site. So these must immediately be packed out or kept somewhere else for further disposal. One can say that that yard where such work activities go on should be kept tidy, and our person should be kept duly PPE worn. Well, I think they should also consume good water content, hot water content or tea from time to time. And these plates which can be transported to site, generally sometimes they keep them on shoulders and take. If you have mechanical means, that is better. If in case you don't have mechanical means because restricted site or small sites, then 2 or 3 persons can carry them to required location. And also on site, when you fix them, when you place them in position, one person cannot do that. That's also, again I am stressing, one person cannot do that. It's a group of 2 or 3 or 4 persons that can work on that. Particularly in columns, I know it's a complicated activity. You need vertical placement, you need vertical connections, you need horizontal and vertical work, you need battens on that, you need timber on that, or if it is steel members, you need steel members on that, then you need bolting, etc. Then you have to fix them, you have to check them in verticality as in sizes, and then you have to provide, you can say, supports. There are many such activities that you have to do, and all these are different, not related to each other. The question of social distancing doesn't arise there. Only is PPE, and that is mandatory, that is must there. And it's one part, and then you have to pour them. This is a platform has to be constructed. Temporary platform used for circulation of them, used for, you can say, clear access to platform, and then working on platform with concrete gang, which are another people, and they cannot keep separate. You cannot say keep social distancing. Concreting cannot be done by social distancing. So only way is you have to use all these methods of PPEs in concrete activity. That is one, and we have to think of how to handle steel reinforcing work. That is also very important, without which nothing can be done. This cannot be done indoors, this has to be done outdoors, and we have to think about that, we have to take care of that. We have to think about that in some cases, Sometimes you are away from one person to other person, and sometimes you are together. You may be cutting it, you are together. You may be bending it, you are together. One person cannot do all work, 2 or 3 persons are required. And then fabrication according to requirement, and also shifting of those onto location if it cannot be accepted to work in that yard. So there is no other way except that they have to use PPEs in whatever way. Social distancing, whatever OSHA says, but activity doesn't accept this. Of course, they have to use head gloves, safety shoes, hard hats, and masks, or what you say, cloth. That is a must. On site also, they sit together and work from one here. There, in some cases, they can maintain social distance while tying binding wires, and they cannot do it while placing steel bars from one place to other. Therefore, I say activities of RCC and concrete pouring, which is easy pour columns, or if you pour slab, you cannot pour separately. You stand there and I stand here. There is no such way. It's a crew work, Crew means a group of 8 or 10 persons, maybe minimum 2 masons. Maximum. There can be 2 groups of people. Minimum 2 masons, minimum 2 or 3 workers who receive boom of concrete pump, and if you are using tower crane, then you have to handle this skip. In concrete pump, you have to handle not skip but boom of end of pipe that delivers concrete on site. It's very high pressure, and persons are required to handle that so that it's discharged to exact location or near location. And then we have to pull it. If it's piled up, pull it by teeth shovels, teeth handles, you can say hand tool. Then for that, one person cannot do. We need a group of people. So there is no way that we can say social distancing can be maintained. And it is wet work. It's not dry work. So we can say we should have comprehension here that PPE's requirement is a must all time. We can give them some rest pause where they can sit distant and take water and tea, and we can give more PPEs after a couple of hours that your previous one has been humidified and you can change it, or there has been some concrete splashes on your face mask, you can clean it. That is only way. It's not only civil construction is open one generally. It's not indoors except brickwork or block work after construction of framework is over. Okay, you can say in block work, you can stay distant. One person can sit this side and one other side, and they can work on wall. But structural work cannot be done like this. Sometimes social distancing can be maintained for a couple of minutes or couple of hours. Sometimes it cannot be maintained. That is where major procedure is required. Now we used to write method statements. In method statements, whatever you write, that we have to include COVID-19 issue. Not necessary that we write COVID-19 there in nomenclature, but we can say we have to keep distance, we have to keep safety. Of course, we say safety is required, safety has to be maintained, we do that. But it should be done in a different way now, because it's a mandate and we have to understand that. Just a minute, please. In construction, civil construction, major element is concrete. It is very major element. You can say only element which takes time, which you can say consumes time, and which is very heavy actually. You can consider formwork also a heavy item. Steel cutting and placing is not heavy item but important item. It's risky item. Cutting, bending. If you higher dia is very difficult. And if you take concrete, it's very heavy placement. So all these three, and then the shutters, removal of shutters. All activities involved in structural concrete are not easy from viewpoint of resorting to COVID-19 applications, COVID-19 precautionary measures. So we have to think, we have to fix some specific supervisor, and those supervisors who are already there on job, they should know how to understand performance of quality so that people are not subject to impact of COVID-19 in all these cases. It is responsibility, just like we say safety is responsibility of each and every one. COVID-19 is a super part of safety now, you can say it's a super safety requirement. And because construction workers are prone to this because of long duration of work, concrete sometimes goes on for many hours. It's not just half an hour job. Sometimes whole night, whole day, slab goes on. And it takes time for fixing shutters, for fixing preparatory works. It takes time. It takes time for providing, for fixing, installing scaffolding, supporting system below slabs. It takes time for every activity. And it is psychology of people that they remember too little for short period. And they are excited because they work, because they feel happy, I am working. Therefore, they work, it's okay, they fine, but they are physical workers. They cannot think analytically. Who is to think for them analytically? We have to extend support to them. Whatever is possible, we have to increase their immunity levels by whatever means. Vaccination is one part that is separate. I am not talking of that one. I am talking of hygienic food, good food, hot water or tea, or whatever possible, timely rest, pause. And they should not feel fatigued. Particular is that PPEs they should use, and of course in hot, they feel sweating, inconvenience, which should be avoided. रात को तो बहुत लिखा है, दिन में भी लिखा है, रात को तो बहुत ज़्यादा लिखा है बारिश। हाँ हाँ आ रही है, शुरू हो गई। अच्छा, अभी तो नहीं थी। पक्षी तो खा गए होंगे अब तक, पक्षी तो खा गए अब तक। और ये तो क्या करें, शुरू हो गई बंदे नहीं है। सुबह तो नहीं लिखा है उसने बारिश को, सुबह तो नहीं लिखा है बारिश को, रात को लिखी है, दिन में लिखी है थोड़ी सी, और रात को बहुत लिखी है। 4 घंटे आती गई, 4 घंटे आती गई, रात को थोड़ा फ्री नहीं। पता नहीं, बदल भी देते हैं कई बार, कौन से आएगी बारिश में बदल देते हैं। There is a, we have a requirement of personal protective equipment and assessment purchasing and control, and it says, is there a written policy for carrying out assessments? Is there a written policy for carrying out assessments, occupations and work locations to identify requirements and standards of PPE? Now, question is, written policy or no written policy on construction works, RCC works particularly, which is always done without roof. You can take example of foundations, which is done without roofs. It is done in pits, in excavated pits. In foundations, we have to do excavation, then we have to do other activities like blinding and then waterproofing, and then we have to do formwork for foundations and reinforcement and then concrete. Foundation takes time and it cannot be done by one person. There can be a crew for all activities. One foundation is not done, many foundations are done together, and these plates are made in carpentry shop. These are fabricated there. Also reinforcement bars are fabricated, and you can say these are fabricated in such a way that it takes lesser time on sites to place and assemble them. Concreting is done all together generally in foundations for whatever area or sections we do. And again I say, these crews of carpenters, steel fixers and concrete, there is no way that they can maintain social distance. There is no way. If we keep on saying, okay, we have to maintain social distance, then even if we postpone that work, even we defer that work for some time, we can't make social distance in future also. This is a group work. This is site manufacturing. It is not that some manufactured material has come and we installed. That can be done only in pre-stressed concrete, precast concrete. That can be done in mechanical installations where machines arrive and we install. And that can also be conducted in electrical disciplines. But civil construction is very different. As I always say, this is start of project. When work goes on full swing, forget this social distancing and forget all this. Only way is use mask and use safety glasses, and other PPEs you always use, and mask also generally construction workers use. But problem comes in when it is hot, it's not cold. Hot, say 40 degrees, 35 degrees, 45 degrees, humid, and body is sweat, face also sweats. One mask, yes, that's true, it cannot work for long, it cannot work for a couple of hours or whole day. Maybe you have to use 2 masks a day or 3 masks a day, depending on your work hours, depending on your activities, and depending on dust, depending on moisture. Or even if you use cloth in place of mask, I think cloth is better, because I have seen masks are not very durable, or you can say very efficient in use. These generally hang from face. People talk, these hang, or people have to pull it again up on nose. But cloth also does same, but it is little better because you can tighten it. It doesn't come very often from your nose down, and it's no strings. It can be fastened on its own corners. I think cloth is somewhere better than your masks. Safety gloves they have to wear even if there is no COVID. Safety glasses they have to wear when they work outdoors. No reason not to wear that. If they have eyeglasses, they use eyeglasses. If they have to use helmets, there is no way they cannot work without that. And they have to wear safety shoes, there is no way that can do that. So these basics are already there. These do exist. Only top up is mask. Well, I think that's only, you can say, only top up is mask. And I don't think it's a big problem, because in open work, when dust storms come or dust or wind, fast winds can bring loaded with dust particles, masks are required. And also depending on direction that is indicated by some balloon fixed on site or some other means that indicates this direction of wind, masks are even then required. So I don't think that these precautions would create or would cause some problems to workers, provided they are provided support. You cannot expect workers to get from home 3 clothes or 3 masks for one day. When it is necessary, you have to provide them. Otherwise, they are very hard workers, committed workers. It's not possible for them to procure for themselves all time. And of course, they have very good bodies, healthy bodies. And it's also possible that even if they are infected, it's very difficult to know, because they shall be asymptomatic. They will be asymptomatic because they are very strong. They are not very abdominous. They are slim, dynamic, active, and they take good food also. But COVID doesn't know all this. We know, even if they are resistant, they are strong. We have to understand this point. It's therefore very important here that we should not apply same formula for everybody, but precautions of face, or you can say mouth and nose, is very important. I use always handkerchief, or you can say cloth, for my mask, even when I am at home or when I am in toilet. Except when I take bath, I use mask, because I am also a construction worker, though I'm not working, I'm not in construction at the moment. My life has been in construction, career has been construction mostly, construction offices and construction sites, and I know their problems very well. Without talking, they cannot work, that's also true. Without gossiping, they cannot work. And without entertainment, unknown entertainment, they cannot work, because mind acts and mind needs some food, and that food cannot come from fabrication of plates or fabrication of steel. And hooting is also done while concreting. They shout, of course, they talk, they shout, just to divert that they are in fatigue. And I think this happens, this is very normal, because even if I work in their place, I may do same. Silence cannot be maintained in such activities, because they have to communicate also. And when machine is working, machine works, pump works, voice from vibrator, and voice from other areas where excavator is working, somewhere something else is working. So they have to shout or cry or raise voice for communication to other workers, to banksmen of mobile crane, to banksmen of pump. They have to raise voice, and that's why they are used to shouting. They are used to speaking high pitch. And for that purpose, I think, without face masks or without clothes, they cannot help each other. They have to take these protective measures without any qualification, without any reservation. These are to be done. If this is not done, well, I can say there may be some problem. there may be some problem. There may be some problem, and that problem should be sorted out at any cost. There is no way, no. So I would say we have to understand these points, and I now try to close this specific talk of COVID-19 and today's small talk just for 3 hours, including quality and safety, which is longer today, 1 hour about more. And this one, I think I should take your leave for next time. If things go right, everything goes right, and we should take care of that in coming time. I should close this in just seconds. I hope that I have done my job. I delivered to you particularly quality and safety issues and revision of some previous talks, previous points, and also construction safety. That is very, very important from each and every viewpoint. This title, Field Engineering, Life, Quality, AnnexSL, COVID-19, Safety, Health, Environment, Engineer's Role, that is very important link, and also Quality File, which gives a comprehensive abstract pertaining all these topics as we discussed in that file, which is this one we brought together. It's very important, in which say quality plus safety plus engineering approach redefined. Also very important. We have to be serious about that. That seriousness cannot be purchased. Seriousness doesn't mean face seriousness, but mind seriousness, application seriousness. With this, I close this. Hoping to see you next time. Thank you very much.